pretty good. I just actually just came to know the Lord. Do you know the Lord?
I know of him. I don't really believe in all that stuff, though.
Why not?
I'm more of a science person.
Yeah, I understand. Well, if you give me can you give me 5 to 6 minutes just to preach to you about the Lord?
Sure, why not?
So, what do you really believe in? How do you think we got here? In your perspective.
To be honest, probably I'd say the Big Bang.
And do you think God's our creator? Do you think he created everything, or do you think he just doesn't really exist and he's just some small figure? Do you think he's the one, or do you think he's just we're better than he is, in your opinion?
I wouldn't say I think we're better than him. I just don't really believe in him.
Okay. Do you believe the Bible's true, or do you think it's a man-made book, or do you think God helped man create the book, or do you think man just made it up so someone have another religion?
I think it's a man-made book.
And so that means you don't believe in it? You don't think it's real or anything like that?
No.
Okay. Well, John 14:6 says that Jesus said to him that he's the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father except through him to get to heaven. Now, do you think heaven's a real thing, or do you think it's all fake?
I'd like to think a place like heaven exists, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I guess. Do you think that you can get to heaven? Do you think you're a good person, you'll get to heaven, or do you think just by works you'll get to heaven?
I think if you're a good person.
Do you think you're a good person? Do you think you don't sin or anything, or do you think sin's a real thing, in your opinion?
I think that the good outweighs the bad for me. I would consider myself a good person.
Okay. I'm gonna get you another verse here. Acts 4:12 says that there's no salvation in no one else except for there's no salvation in no one else, for there are no name under heaven among men by which we must be saved, which means basically we can only be saved by God. So even how much good works that you do, you'll still never be saved unless you believe in God. So God's the main one, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So basically, do you think that you understand very well? Do you think you still need more preaching? Do you think this sounds real, or in your opinion?
I think it sounds like a possibility.
So if I asked you what your opinion is on salvation point, where are you at right now salvation wise?
What do you mean?
Do you think everyone who's a Christian just thinks they're better than everyone else, basically? Or do you think that each one of us loves each other and love the others?
I think that sometimes Christians can be more judgmental than people who don't believe, but I also do think that there's some Christians who do come together and work well together.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I could see how you could say that, yeah. So, are you starting to understand more about what God is, in the sense of he's more real and how you're supposed to get to heaven better?
Well, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
In what instance or in what point in your life was God made real to you? Why do you believe in him?
Probably, I started believing in him when I was in 4th grade. I just heard him speaking to me through my family. My grandma introduced me to him, and before that I totally agree. I didn't think any of this could be possible, but ever since I started reading this amazing book, it was great, and like he was my salvation, you know. So like he was like the one for me. I knew it was real. There's no way it could be fake. It's just this is a all powerful book. That's my point of. That's my way I feel through God. Let me ask you, why don't you believe, like, what are your parents in a way, I guess I could say, like, religion-wise?
Well, both my parents are very religious.
Okay, that's actually really good. And what's, like, your main reason for not believing that this could be real?
You know, I think, to be honest, it's probably just because growing up I didn't really have much of my own choice. But after this conversation, I've come to realize that, you know, maybe I'm not correct.
Okay. And if you'd like, do you think I could pray with you?
Sure.
Okay, just repeat after me. Dear God,
Dear God,
I would like to accept you into my life.
I would like to accept you into my life.
I see that I have done wrong,
I see that I have done wrong,
and I see that you're my salvation.
and I see that you're my salvation.
And please just let me believe in you
And please let me believe in you
and love you for all the rest of my life.
and love you for the rest of my life.
In Jesus' name,
In Jesus' name,
amen.
amen.
I want to hug now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.